Okay, so to get it all set up, I'm going to show you both the admin side of things and then the user side of things. So up here, you're going to see I'm running this on localhost. They're technically on two different domains. So localhost and then localhost 3002. And so this one right now represents the admin side. You're going to have the client will have just picked their own URL, and that's what will be up here. But we're going to log in now. So I'm going to use the account that I've set up. And right when you log in, everything is going to be blank. There's going to be no styles, no logos. You can see it just up in the top corner is just a loading image. And we also don't have any workspaces. Those work the same way you think of like a Slack workspace, where you can assign an individual group or company its own logo and styles, users and content inside of it. So let's start first with building the logos and styles for the main site. So if I go to settings on the side, the first tab, themes and styles, that lets us pick whatever we want to load up our styles in. So I'm going to go to Clear Square's main site so I can get just a logo, and this is how I'd expect most people to grab it from either their clients or themselves. So I just grab it from the site. I can come over here and I can upload that. Well, in this case, it's actually a WebP because that's how I'm hosting it. So I'm going to show you how I normally handle for that. If you just go online, because we're going to need to upload a JPEG or a PNG. So if we just do WebP to PNG, you can see I've used it a bunch. So you can click right into there. All you need to do is drag and drop that over and convert. And that doesn't take very long. It'll download it. And now we can go back on it over. And I'm going to upload that PNG that'll actually work. So right when I click update, you'll see that the top one changes. And if we do upload that exact same PNG, what you're going to notice is it's squished. And what I'm trying to show here is what's going to actually happen up in the top navigation. So if I do save that, you're going to see there's this squashed thing up in the corner. And so how I normally handle for that, because a lot of times you're given just a general logo for a client or your own. If you use Figma, and Figma is awesome because it's so drag and drop capable, to change this into a square that will load easily, we can just shrink this down, and all we need to do is make it be the same width and height. I just did that manually. And then I can go here and click export. And obviously, if someone gives you the proper, sized images, that's definitely the better way to do it. And so if I update that, we'll see that now it's sizing correctly. The other thing is this is the title of the site right here where it says portal. So in any email that a client gets, it's going to be referring to this title that your site is called. So we're going to rename that to Clear Square. And now I'm going to go about just changing some of the layouts. So there's two ways you can change a color. You can either highlight and directly change this to something else, or my favorite is just using this box with a dropper, and then you can just go, let's go use this one. You can go hover over anything, select its colors, and I'm just going to change this to white with the same color for the active text. So this is the navigation's active text, the active background. You can see the navigation text is actually black right now. So I'm just going to use the main tool to go to white. It's easiest if you want to go to red, black, or white. In this case, we want to go to white. The highlight color, I'm going to use the blue from the logo. The text, I'm actually just going to make it be the same dark blue. And then the max width, this is saying how big content should go on the user side. I can just leave that at 1,400, but I can change it, and I can change it to percentages as well. So now the whole site has been set, and these also will be the default styling colors for any workspace that we make. So let's just make, a workspace for internal employees. So by default, it's going to use all of the styles that come from the parent, but at any time you can go through and say, oh, this this particular workspace should have its own colors and styles. However, these won't, even if you update and there are people that are a part of this workspace, this little caveat right here, use default styles, means that it's going to use the parents until you deselect it. So it's like a way to say, okay, I finally want to publish any style changes that I've made. And obviously you can change the logos, anything. So this individual workspace, when people log in, looks different than the main one. But all those changes look horrible, so I'm going to get rid of them. Now that we've made a workspace, we've set up the styles, let's go think about how we really do the most important thing, which is pull in Domo content and then add users, and then assign filtering and permissions of who should see what. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a user, John Snow, square.co, and I'm going to assign them to the internal employees workspace. And I'm just going to manually set a password because that's a fake account and I will never get the email. So I'm going to submit that. So I've made a user and I assigned them to a workspace. You can see they'll already actually be in there. I'm going to remove access from this workspace so I can show you how to add someone if they've already been added or they're in a different workspace. So let's go back to that workspace. This is the one we made for internal employees. I'm going to go to users. I'm going to say, okay, I can either make a brand new person specifically for this workspace or add an additional, and I'm going to add my own account as well. So now both of these users have access to this workspace. And now we have people, but we don't have any content. And so there's 3 different types of content you can make. A Domo embedded content, just custom HTML. You want the end user to just see something you've made or a link somewhere else. But we're going to click Domo embed, and we're going to go over to the clear square Domo instance. And so down here you can see, I'm going to move this little icon thing, the property management dashboard. If I click right next to this wrench icon, this share, embed dashboard, okay, I'm going to put this guy back actually. We only need this 5-digit code. If this is the first time you've ever tried embedding a page, it'll actually look like this. So we're going to switch that to private. You can either double click right there, or you can click copy and paste right there. I do like the faster way where I don't have to click the drop down of just double clicking it. So if I come back, I always name them the exact same name that is inside Domo. I'll show you how to get credentials, but once you enter this in one time, you never have to again, and you just have to get that 5-digit code. So enter in the name of whatever the dashboard is named inside your instance and grab that 5-digit code, submit it, and you've now made a page. I'm going to add in 3 of them all together because we've got some demo content. Embed everywhere. I'm going to grab that one. This is for media agency. So media, see, I'm going to paste that in. And I'm going to do one more. And that is that capital management page. Embed everywhere. Grab that 5-digit code. This is capital management. Use mine, save. Okay, so now we've added in 3 pieces of content. We've added in a user. I'm actually going to add in just an external link, something different. Home page. And it's going to go to www.clearsquare.co. And we'll open it in a new tab just so we have more content. Just wants our https:// submit. Okay, so we've got 4 pieces of content. We've got 2 users. Now we just need to say who can see what. So right here, I'm going to call this the default group. I'm going to assign both of us into it. And right here, I'm just going to add one page and just say create. I don't have to add anything from the get-go, but I wanted to show there's multiple places you can say who's in it, say which pages are viewable. So I can click here, delete out who should be a part of this group. I can click the cog icon. There's a bunch of different things: manage the users, add a page, clone the group, add an icon, delete the group. But I'm just going to add in the rest of our pages. Which one is left? We haven't put in property management. Okay, now I'm going to update that. So now there are 2 users who should be able to see 4 dashboards, and this one is a link, so it doesn't have that add condition. And this is what will allow you to filter. But I'll go a little bit more in depth in just a second. And you can also reorganize the page. So this one will show first, this one will show last. So now if I toggle over to what will be the user portal, and I'm going to refresh it because it's pulling from everything that we styled on the other side. And I'm going to now log in. My user should have access to 4 pages inside of the internal employees workspace, and that's what we're seeing right here. There's all the content loading, and this is the link to our external page. So now what we can go over is, let's say that for this particular user, that let's say they're inside property management, and we want them, when they see content, to not see everything. Let's say that this person represents a broker. And so let's say that they should only see information for Kyle J. They should not see everything. And this works for, let's say it's a company's department, the marketing, engineering, sales, or maybe it's based by company. Maybe it's Apple versus Microsoft, and you want a specific group to only see content that's relevant to them. So we're going to go to property management. The column is broker. The operator, we're going to say when the column value is equal to Kyle J, that's what this user should be able to see. So now if I go back and I reload the page, and anytime that they come back or try to view the content, it's going to show that the only information that they can see is stuff related to Kyle J. So that's how you apply filters, and there are multiple ways. So there's also not equals, there's in, not in, greater than equals, contains. So maybe the value contains some email address or contains some value. In works very similar to equals. It just also includes comma separation. So let's update that. So it's this user can see broker information where it's Kyle J or Jessica L. So if I refresh it and see what information this user can now access, you can see that it's Kyle J or Jessica L. And so that's how you filter that information. Now, we can go even more granular. Let's say we want to delete that from here, and instead, we want to say for this entire workspace, we say we make some more groups. Maybe there's one for, let's use marketing. And we'll just assign my account. No pages to it yet. And let's say that for all of these different groups, there's a filter that needs to be applied to every single page. What we can do is we can come over into settings on workspace filters. We can say, we want it where the broker has to be equal to, and for this silly example, I'm just going to reuse Kyle J. So essentially every single group and every single page within that group must have it where it's being filtered by Kyle J. So I'm going to reload this, and then we're going to see that it's still showing where it's just Kyle J. But if we go to something like capital management, which has no columns, Kyle J, it's going to have actually filtered it all and said, oh, there's nothing that can there's no data accessible at all. And so we do always need to keep in mind that if you filter it by something that returns no information, it is going to make it so there is nothing possible to load. And so the overarching ones means that you need to make sure that this column is accessible for all cards in the dashboard. But the other thing that you can do is say you don't want it to apply to all cards, but just a few. Let's say that we're adding that property, so broker, where it's equal to Kyle J, but there's certain dashboards it shouldn't be equal to. So apply to data sets inside of here. So this means that maybe there are some cards that this does not work for. In those cases, we just need to enter in the IDs for the data sets that this should apply to. And if they're not in here, it won't be applied to and it won't break any. And obviously, you can add multiple conditions, each one with their own where. And then any of the Domo ones, obviously, the link can't be filtered in some way. They can all have their own separate ones. But let's say that instead, this is a value that is based on the user. Let's say that it's the role of the user. Maybe the user is an admin versus a manager versus just some employee. What we can do is by default, all that we're storing is the full name and the email. But you can go to the user settings and we can add custom fields for the user. So if you sync it up with the Domo dataset, you can pull this information right in. But let's say that we have a new field that we want to add and we want it to be called role. And so now if I go back to that user, you'll see that there's full name, email, and that brand new attribute that we have as role. So now I can say, this is an admin, or let's say that this is, maybe the role is CEO. And so if we go back to our workspaces, go back to our groups, let's say that there was a property on here and it's called, we'll assume inside of Domo that you also named it role, but maybe capitalized this time. So only show property management where columns are equal to, instead of text value, which is more hard coded, you can switch it to user attribute, and then you can use anything that was currently there, the full name of the user, their email, and now you can select role. So essentially for this, for the Jon Snow account, this will, when they log in, it'll be filtered. Role is equal to the role of CEO. And in this case, unfortunately, there's not going to be anything for that. And I'm not even logged in as that account. Let's switch it to john.snow. And here's his password. So unfortunately, it is going to, oh, maybe that wasn't his password. Yeah, I've forgotten it. So that's unfortunate. So let's just give this one CEO instead, so I don't have to go reset passwords. So if I reload this one for property management, just by navigating to it, it will reload the permissions. It's going to show that nothing can load because there are no columns in this case where role is equal to CEO. But then that way you can build custom ones that you can import and automatically sync with a Domo data set to manage all of the user permissions that are coming through. And likewise, you can filter on the user level as well. So say you want to filter just this user's data access, you can do that. You can assign, instead of assigning pages at a group level, you can just say, okay, well, they're a part of that admin group, but they also get this special individual page that no one else should have access to. So that's how you manage those. And there's going to come a time where you'll probably start making multiple workspaces. Let's say that this is for Apple Inc. So we make a new one, and we can obviously do new styles and logos, but you can see this one has no pages, and this one has 4. We added all 4 of those pages, and it now feels like we're going to have to go back in and add in all of those 4 pages. And that happens a lot. So what we've done is you can go to pages, everything on this. So if you're looking inside of a workspace, you'll see it kind of replicated. This navigation has users, admins, pages, groups, and so does this. This is obviously just for one particular workspace, while this shows everything that exists. So it's showing, oh, here's for internal employees. There is nothing so far for Apple Inc. But what we can do is make a global page. This means that this page can be assigned to multiple workspaces, and you can come in here and edit it anytime. I'm just going to call it global. It's going to be all fake. I'm just going to write in a random code that doesn't actually work. And now this global one has already been imported. You can see 1 in there, and now this one has 5. And that way, if you know you're going to reuse a page a lot and just change filters depending on the workspace and the group, probably best to just make it as a global page. Obviously, we do have SSO. These are all examples of the different ones that we've hooked up to that you can use as base routing. And these are some of the navigation controls, really. If you want to have things redirect, if admins are logging in, where things should be sent, colors and styles of the login button, if it's visible. And then each of those have their own settings. There's the activity log, which you can filter it to see, any recent logins. Jon Snow has none, obviously, because I forgot his password. And you can filter by logins or by the page views, and then also by which page has been accessed, sorting the dates of most recent to least recent. And then you can also filter by, when something was viewed. And this one is brand new, so today is the only day there will be any activity. And then going back to settings. So inside of here, we already went over all the styles and colors, but with the emails, you can actually edit every single one. You can just read the direct HTML. There are definitely spots that you probably shouldn't change, but if you want to get rid of it or change it, you can. These little parts that have the brackets and the percent sign, this is how our code reads what to replace it with. So if you ever see those spots, reset password link, highlight color, probably those are just the ones you shouldn't change, but you can change any of the text or how it's being said. And so for the forgot password, the welcome, and then two-factor authentication to the verification. We'll also want you to go in and upload your own SMTP. This is for when an email gets sent out, who does it come from? You can use ours as long as you'd like, but it's probably best to switch it out to get the full white labeled experience. And then with the global settings, let me log out and show you where the top 2 pieces align. You can see it says, welcome to the generic portal, and then get access to all your data. So that is changed right here and right here. And so technically this up here, this access URL, this is saying if there's ever a link saying to go to the user portal, where is the user portal located? And so in this case, just because I'm doing this on my computer, localhost 3002, let's update that, refresh the page so it's accessible everywhere. And that's talking about things like this link, so it'll actually go to the right place. Or if you sign out, I'll show you where that other link is so you can quickly navigate to the user side. But we will need you to go in and add in credentials. Earlier when I was showing the adding of pages, I said you had to add in credentials. So to do that, you're going to need to go to developer.domo.com. You'll click Dev Portal Login, and I'm not going to log in because it will show all my credentials, but I'll do that in a different video that shows how to access that, and then to create one so then you can import content from Domo. You just have to do this once and it will be synced up. And then this shows if you've made credentials that are only accessible within one workspace but not within a different one. Down here is the edit embed. It works very similar to the view-only content, but it allows you to embed sub-instances of Domo so your clients can have the ability to go in and make their own dashboards. And so I'll show you an example site of what that means. So here at MotoCorp Management, if we click the login, that was interesting. It is just a dev site, but I'm going to log in as this admin account. And now once I'm logged in, you can see there's multiple workspaces. So this one is our normal view-only content. But if I click into this Gordon group that's been white labeled, you'll see it's got all the logos and everything, but it doesn't say Domo anywhere. And you can see that this is very similar to the Domo page or where you would normally log in. But when you log in, you normally see all of this extra content. And so all of this has been stripped out because you don't want users to be able to go, well, you can set them to have stuff like admin access and whatnot. But most of the time, if you're giving them access, when you want them to log in, you want it to be streamlined down. You want them to be able to see a few different dashboards, maybe be able to export the content, being able to, actually go in and edit some of it, schedule reports, export some of the content. So this gives them the ability to not only be a viewer, but be able to edit the content as well. And so that goes through most everything as far as how to use the Clear Square portal.